All right, guys, day 4 on working with the Glowforge. Most of you got your submissions done yesterday of the keychain. We're going to get some of that ordered so we can finish that up. But today we're going to be looking at creating like awards. Okay, so like you can see this one here, best dress St. Patrick's Day. I want to kind of show you a couple of things, right? So first things first, you guys can see here. All right, that way that is done. All right, and the etching is actually done on the back side. So remember the part that's going to be up. So if I were to put the side that actually got engraved up to the camera, you can see it's backwards. All right, so whenever you're doing this, all right, whenever you actually finish your design, all right, over here, this is what is going to allow you. So this is what my design looked like when I finished it, right? But before I send it to the Glowforge, I want to make sure everything is backwards. Okay, and that way when I go to engrave it, it engraves it on the one side, and then it'll be smooth on the side where it's coming through. Okay, so just to kind of look at that. Now, your assignment for today, what we're going to be looking at is generally in the spring, Mr. Rhodes, all right, will send an email similar like this, right? And he wants to have you guys actually kind of participate in this, okay? So there's an email here, a screenshot of the email, as well as the image, all right, which we're going to take a look at. So I'm going to just click on this. I'm going to download it. All right, and I'm going to go ahead. Most of these designs, you can make it the size. I want to just go ahead and make a size. So I'm going to click New File. I'm going to make it 8.5 by 11. That's going to be plenty big enough so I can put my base and whatever else. All right, it doesn't matter if it's vertical or horizontal. I'm just going to go ahead and click Create. Okay? That just gives me a workspace to start with. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, open my file here, and I just downloaded, right, that cut image. So I'm going to not do that. I'm going to click and drag this in here. Now, first thing we're going to want to do is, if you guys remember, it's important to turn things into vectors. What that does is it allows it to be blown up. If you've ever gone anywhere and you see a sign that is really pixelated looking, it's because before they printed it off, they didn't turn it into a vector to expand it, right? If you cut it into turn it into a vector, there's a path that is set there and it expands. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So if we look in here, this is using bitmap. All right, so as we zoom in some of these places, especially right here, you can see into that. And the more we go, all right, it's not very smooth. Now what we're going to do, we're going to zoom out now. All right, we're going to tell it, all right, we want to turn this into a vector. So I'm going to go over here. You do have image trace here, but it just kind of does it automatically. We want specific. So we're going to go over here. First of all, I'm going to click embed, and now I'm going to choose image trace. Now there's 3 main colors here. We've got gray, we've got yellow, and blue. So let's try 3 colors to see if it'll work. All right, because it wants to recognize white, even though it's not there. Anywhere that shape is, it wants to recognize white. So I'm going to just choose 6 colors. All right, and there you go. We can have that here. Now I'm pulling it over here since I have that white background. And now I'm going to choose this expand. With this selected, I'm going to choose expand. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, with it selected, I'm going to click ungroup. After I ungroup it, I'm going to go in here, all right, and I'm going to get rid of all the white that I don't want. Now, if you want to leave some of that gray, actually, I wouldn't recommend it. But any of this that is like that, just take your time, go in here and delete it, okay? And then after you get to a certain point, if you get these out, you can actually go in and use I to turn some of these that are a different color gray to make it more uniform. Okay, you guys get the point. Now, what I want you to get out of this, because I've done this, now as I go to scale, or if I zoom in, all right, no longer do I have those bitmaps. It's all smooth now. So now I could blow this up as large as I would like it to. All right, I could blow this up as large as I want it to, and it's not going to make it any worse, right? It's going to be smooth that entire time. All right, so with that being said, once you have everything figured out, I'm going to group it how I want it, and now I have that. All right, now what I also want to notice, and is going to be important to create my image, right? Gray is going to be, or the blue is what we want engraved. All right, red indicates a cut line. So maybe I do something separate. I can play with this. I don't necessarily have to have this whole circle. So maybe I get rid of the circle in general, right? And I'm going to get rid of all these extra pieces that I don't need. All right, And maybe we're going to go in. This is just a pure example, fast example. All right, you would want to go in here, select, and get all of these little pieces out that we don't want. Because anything you leave in here, it's going to want to pop up with Glowforge, and it gets to be annoying. All right, even all the way into cutting these little gray spots out. Okay, now that we have that, let me get myself out of the way. All right, we have this. We can group it together. All right, and actually we don't want to ungroup it yet. We want to choose what we want engraved. So if it's yellow, it's not going to be engraved. So we're going to choose a blue, let it fill it in, and we're going to use that same blue. So you can use I for eyedropper tool to make sure you get it. All right, now if I want to do that for everything I got here, all right, I can grab it, use the eyedropper tool, and you can see there where it did that. Now, had I wanted to fill in the inside where I deleted that earlier, that's going to be something, I'd have to go back and save. But right now, if I were to create this as a project, all right, maybe I create a base. All right, I don't want the base engraved. I need just an outline stroke of red. All right, so there's me a base. I would need to make a measurement of about how thick this is. I will post that on the site. It's kind of hard to get. It's like 0.18. It kind of varies on if I'm using like stuff that Glowforge sells or if I just have scraps laying around. All right, but you would create your box, and then once again, you would want to create an inside box. All right. So because you have to have somewhere for it to stand, it's important when you go and create that, first, that is the right size, but you also want to make sure you align it. All right, so object, align, horizontal line and vertical align, that makes sure it's there. And then once that shape is the right size, do that again. And now lastly, right now, this would engrave it, but it doesn't give me a shape. If I right click, it allows me to choose different shapes. If I wanted to maybe do a star, if you want to get fancy with it, you could download an image of a cow and put that into, because it is livestock showing, okay? Or maybe you just do a circle, but you do an oversized circle, all right? Once again, it's going to make more sense if we group this, right? Well, not like that. All right, we want to pull this to the side, group this stuff together, and then when we get this close, object align horizontal as well as object align vertical, and that way we know it's centered. And now, because I need something to fit in there, maybe I want to go back to a rectangle. It's gonna fit about that at the bottom, right? We'll get you a depth there. You don't need it to go very deep, but that way that sits down in there. And now remember, just like we went over yesterday, we want to merge these two objects together. So we're just gonna click that right there. Okay. Before you do that, go ahead, ungroup. Sometimes this is all trial and error. And now we're gonna merge those two together, right? As you can see, I need to align that one. So while they're selected, object align, this needs to be a horizontal align. We're good, group that together. Now we can select everything, object align. I think we should still be good vertically, but there. And now we have that, and now obviously those don't match up. Take your time, make it correct, because nothing's worse than when you get to it, all right, and it's like, well, that's a good fit. Well, this one leans backwards, right? That's not. You want a good, tight, snug fit, and you want to make sure it's not moving back and forth side to side, all right? You want it to fit in there, okay? All right, you guys come up with your own design, creative freedom, look at it. Once you're done, File, Save As, SVG. All right, so how we do that? File, we're going to do Save As. All right, and then change this to SVG, upload that, and submit that under 6-4. All right, that's all you got for today.